Julie was furious, but then she understood and said, "I understand, young master." Afterward, Julie summoned her weapon with an extremely stern voice, declaring, "I will protect you as a member of the Runkandle clan. If I act out of line, please forgive me." Then, Julie quickly dashed out of the carriage with a resolute tone, saying, "Young master, when we return to the castle, I volunteer to be punished." Jin replied, "Now is not the time to talk about that. Let's go to them. I want to confirm a few things." Julie looked puzzled and asked, "Confirm what?" Jin explained, "The enemies they're fighting might be our allies. If they came to kill me, they would have done so right when I left the carriage. But this silence is strange." Julie quickly understood and said, "I see, young master," Mukera shouted loudly. "Quickly, find Jin Runkandel. Team 3, block the left flank. It's Jin." Sure enough, Julie also responded. Noting the symbols of demons and black blades, the Mattel Magic Clan, and the Black King Mercenary Squad. The person in the white cloak yelled, "Over there, they found Julie McLaren and even Jin Runkandel." The group shouted, "Everyone, prioritize protecting Jin Runkandel." The red-haired man then introduced himself. "My name is Mukera, captain of the Black King Squad. We're here on orders from the Runkandel house to rescue Jin Runkandel." Mukera gritted his teeth and said, "Damn you, you dare lay a hand on the young master?" Jin thought to himself, "It seems they're just imposters. If they were real 7-star guardians, there's no way they'd struggle against these people." The two men were surrounded, and Julie demanded sternly, "Who are you? What's your purpose? Whose lackeys are you?" The bald man sneered, "Why bother asking, you brat? Who has time to answer dogs of the Runkandle house?" Julie was speechless and turned to ask Jin, "What should we do, young master?" Jin coldly ordered, "Kill one and chop off the hand of the other, then bring him to me." Upon hearing the order, Julie replied, "As you command," and charged forward. The bald man didn't know what was happening, but Julie's eyes grew increasingly brutal. A slicing sound like cutting a watermelon echoed, and the white-haired man panicked and retreated upon seeing his comrade chopped like fruit. But before he could escape, his hand was severed by a slash. He stood dazed as the blade whistled and his blood spurted out. Julie's eyes narrowed, and with a powerful kick, she knocked him to the ground. Only then did her gaze soften a bit, and she gently grabbed his hair, dragging the white-haired man toward Jin. Mukera chimed in, "Your master seems to underestimate the opponents too much. To become a servant of the Runkandle house, one needs at least 7-star level." Jin smirked, "So if you want to assassinate a Runkandel child, you should at least reach 8-star level." The white-haired man screamed madly, "Stop babbling! This is just the beginning. The Runkandel house is nearing its end." Jin calmly replied, "I'd like that too," which left Mukera standing beside him stunned. Jin continued sarcastically, "I have no fondness for the Runkandle Empire. I only like the Jin Runkandle Empire." The white-haired man didn't expect to encounter such a reckless guy and yelled, "Bow down before Zipple!" Jin pondered, "Zipple?" The wizard family ruling the other half of the world. If the Runkandle clan is famous for ultimate swordsmanship, the Zipple are known for peaking in magic. 1,000 years ago, after the Runkandle founder passed away, Zipple proposed a humiliating demand to strip magic from Runkandle, and thus magic in Runkandle was sealed. So for the Runkandle clan, Zipple is the eternal enemy. No wonder I wondered who dared such arrogance. They must be Zipple followers. Jin sneered, "Julie, toss him somewhere. Torturing him won't yield anything." Julie obeyed, and the white-haired man cursed, "You bastard!" Jin thought to himself, "Of course, for Zipple. Runkandel is also the eternal foe. They've always plotted to terrorize Runkandel, but this incident might not be orchestrated by the clan itself, but by rogue followers strange. No matter how well disguised, it's hard to fool a 7-star knight, unless that guy is involved." Julie bowed respectfully, placing her hand on her chest in salute. "Young master, I've done as you instructed." Jin crossed his arms and replied, "Thank you, Julie." Jin approached Mukera and asked, "Earlier you said you're the captain of the Black King Squad, right, Mukera?" Mukera nodded. "Yes." Jin calmly looked at Mukera and said, "I escaped successfully thanks to you diverting their attention from me. When we return to Runkandle Castle, I'll report your merits. You'll surely be richly rewarded. Now, help me set up a teleportation gate." Mukera placed his hand on his chest in salute. "I'll do my best." Mukera looked at Jin in disbelief, thinking, how could a child from the Runkandle clan wander outside the castle for so long? He's only 10, yet he has such confidence and maturity. Mukera seriously thought, recalling Jin's confident words, I'm seeking the path to open the era of Jin Runkendel, and realized it wasn't a joke, he was serious. Mukera turned and ordered, "Everyone, listen. Before the teleport gate is set up, be careful with your actions. Absolutely no foolish moves, understood." The brown-haired squad member protested. "What? Captain, that's an unreasonable request." Another squad member with a headband complained. "Since when do we worry about such things?" The one with the headband looked shocked. "Why is the captain suddenly acting crazy?" Mukera shouted. "Maintain order and follow my words." Julie turned back and reminded, "Captain Mukera, I think we can depart now." Mukera snapped to attention and replied, "Understood." Mukera placed his hand on his chest and said, "Then let's depart." While moving, Mukera asked, "Is it okay to leave them like this?" Julie answered, "It's fine," Julie explained. "Whether they're found alive or dead, it'll serve as a warning to their accomplices." Jen praised, "Well done, Julie." And she replied, "Thank you, sir." Julie bowed. "They said in about 2 hours, we'll reach a village." Jin calmly said, "Is that so? I guess we'll rest there until the snow stops." Suddenly, Jin called, "Julie," and she curiously responded, "Yes?" Jin understandingly said, "Don't worry about what happened during the escort. It's not your fault. Even a 9-star knight like Khan didn't notice. So naturally, a 7-star warrior like you couldn't detect the anomaly." Jin comforted, "I'm not teaching you what a guardian knight should do or anything." Julie self-blamed, "I'm sorry." Jin looked at her, thinking, "Julie is just like in my previous life." Jin thought to himself, as the nanny of the Run Candle house, her fate is tied to the child she's raising. Jin recalled, "In my previous life, Julie was my nanny." Jin remembered the scene where Julie was bullied by other nannies, thinking, because I had no talent, she was also despised and humiliated. Jin thought, but Julie never resented me. On the day I was exiled from the Run Candle clan, Julie was dismissed like me, and she said to me, "Young master, I'm sorry I couldn't take good care of you." Bowing her head, Jin pondered, "I don't want to make things hard for someone who's always treated me well, but the times now are different from my previous life. Julie also needs to strengthen her own resolve." Julie slightly clenched her fists and said, "Young master, I'm willing to accept any punishment for what happened." Jin scolded, "Stop blaming yourself, that's an order, Julie." Jin turned and said, "As long as you're my nanny, you're the only guardian knight I need. If you let trivial things affect you, how can you escort me in the future?" Julie was stunned, and Jin seriously turned back. "So don't make me repeat this, understood?" Julie bowed. "Yes, young master, I'll correct this." Julie thought to herself, thinking how much the young master cares for me. His words are for my own good. I must be more cautious to ensure no one harms him again. Julie encouraged herself. "Young master, I'll do my best." Jin glanced back, sensing her mood and feeling relieved. It seems she's regained her spirits. The door opened, revealing warm light and a greeting. "Welcome." The group entered an inn, and the innkeeper asked, "How many rooms do you need, sir?" Mukera replied, "2 rooms for me." Jin silently counted those people and the old guardian knights. Jin looked up thinking, if I'm right, there's a high chance that person is involved. Jin envisioned a large shadowy figure and silently called, "The shape-shifting wizard, Bubba Gaston." Jin thought, shapeshifting is the dragon clan's strength, but even dragons can't shapeshift perfectly. Jin thought, only Bubba is the unique existence who can create perfect shapeshifts. He's used that ability to disguise and commit various crimes to chaos the world. Jin wearily opened the room door with anxiety. If Bubba is really involved, things are getting more complicated, Jin thought, though he hasn't done anything too horrific yet. Before leaving, Mukera cautiously said, "If you need anything, feel free to call me." Julie replied, "Thank you, Captain Mukera." Jin sat on the bed, thinking, in my previous life, when I turned 20, Bayman's special unit captured him. If I can make Bubba an ally, it'd be very useful. Jin frowned, thinking, but I have no reason to invite someone who's pointed a sword at me as an ally. Jin yawned sleepily, thinking, before Bubba causes more trouble, I need to check thoroughly if anything has changed from my previous life. Julie turned back. "Young master, I'll stand guard outside." Receiving no response, Julie puzzledly turned. "Young master?" She then saw Jin sprawled on the bed asleep. Looking at the sleeping Jin, Julie exclaimed, "Oh my." She smiled gently and kept quiet for Jin to rest. A black-furred cat's tail swayed back and forth, with continuous meowing sounds from outside the window, making the sleeping Jin uncomfortable, too noisy. Jin scratched his head and drowsily woke up, thinking, "Ah, did I fall asleep?" As the noise from the window continued, Jin stretched and thought, "Even though I've trained many times at the Thunder Arena, this is still too much for my 10-year-old body. What's that sound?" He looked over, causing the black cat outside to freeze stiff. Jin drowsily wondered as the atmosphere fell silent, like a string of question marks running through. Then Jin stared blankly and asked, "Could you be?" He recalled the time Muriken laughed heartily. "Funny, right? I'll always hide and follow you, so don't worry." Jin at that time also smiled. "All right, I understand." Looking at the black cat outside the window, angrily meowing and scratching the window, Jin laughed uncontrollably. "You said you'd hide and follow me? Did you mean turning into a cat like this?" Muriken in black cat form angrily opened his mouth and hissed, making Jin suppress his laughter and yield. All right, I'm sorry." He opened the window for the cat to enter. "I was just a bit surprised. I didn't expect you to appear like this. I thought you'd disguise as one of my servants, like a groom." Seeing the black cat emitting black smoke, "I assumed you'd transform into something like that." Muriken returned to human form angrily. "Hey, if I did that, all the knights in your family would notice me." Muriken fumed. "Do you know how hard it was to follow you?" As he stepped up, his foot tripped on a warped wooden plank, causing Muriken to fall face first into the room wall. He yelped, "Ah!" Julie heard the noise and, frightened and worried, burst open the door. "Young master, what's wrong?" She then saw Muriken squatting, holding his forehead and trembling. Julie's face darkened as she shouted, Who are you to follow my young master?" She pinned Muriken down, raising her iron claws with killing intent, ready to strike. "Tell me everything before I end you. Who the hell are you?" Jin hurriedly stopped. "Wait, Julie, this is Muriken." Upon hearing, Julie was incredulous. "This is Julie." Muriken immediately stood up with a dreamy face. "Oh, my little strawberry cake, I've finally met you." Julie looked disgusted, as if seeing a cockroach. "Strawberry cake?" Muriken confidently said, "I've always looked forward to the day we meet." She was baffled. "What?" Jin stood aside, helplessly covering his face, thinking, "This is a mess." Jin introduced Muriken to Julie. First, Muriken is the guardian deity of the Runcandle clan, the Black Dragon Muriken. Then Jin turned to Julie. "And this is Julie." Before Jin could finish, Muriken interjected, "I know who she is. She's my precious strawberry cake, right?" Julie bowed with a slightly trembling voice. "A lowly servant of the Runcandle house, forgive my rudeness to the guardian deity. Please pardon me." Seeing Julie like that, Muriken laughed loudly. "Don't worry, my little strawberry. I'm more than willing to forgive you." Julie asked with a slightly confused face. Sir Muriken, may I ask why I'm a strawberry?" Muriken answered with a voice full of confidence. "Because you're wonderful, beautiful, and make perfect strawberry cakes," Julie exclaimed with a stunned face, turning to look at Jin. "So he's the reason you request strawberry cakes every day?" she suggested. "Could you sit down for a moment to hear my explanation?" Jin said, and Julie lowered her face with a somewhat aggrieved tone. "There are so many things I don't know about you, young master." Jin looked at Julie. "I'm sorry for lying to you, Julie," Julie responded. "No, I've always known your talents are amazing. But first magic, then the contractor of Soldret, and now a dragon as a servant. I'm just surprised and happy for you." Julie now carried full curiosity within her. Jin replied, "Anyway, Julie, you're in the same boat with us. Now the clan can't know the truth that Muriken has awakened, and my relationship with him, at least for now, understand?" Julie answered softly, "Yes, young master, I understand." Muriken stretched out to shield Jin, cheerfully looking at Julie. "You don't need to worry, Strawberry. After all, I'm always by the kid's side," Julie replied. "Thank you for your kindness, Sir Muriken." Julie wondered, "Oh, so the loud noise from earlier when you transformed is over." Jin just replied, "No," turning to Muriken. "You should be more careful." Muriken whispered to Jin, "Don't lecture me," and he whimpered, "Hoo, hoo, hoo." Muriken suddenly stood up and laughed loudly. Julie looked at Muriken's current state with some fear, turning to Jin. "Young master, are you sure he's reliable?" Jin looked at Muriken's state and helplessly replied, Probably." At the Mattel teleportation gate, Julie stood firm. "Well done, Black King Squad." Mukera asked, "A cat was it here before?" Julie continued, "The Runcandle clan will reward you handsomely for your efforts." Mukera said, "This mission was also a valuable experience for us. I'm eager to see the future of the young master rune candle you're caring for. Makara wondered, but Julie McLaren, I have one. Question for you, Julie replied. Yes? Makara said. Someone as talented as you, why did you leave the McLaren clan and become a nanny for young Master Runkendel? Julie hesitated without answering. Julie turned her back, glancing at Makara. There's nothing important to discuss. Makara embarrassedly said, Sorry, I overstepped. Julie replied, It's fine. Then, stepping inside, welcoming Julie and Jin was the receptionist. Welcome to the Mitel teleportation gate. May I see your papers? To the Run Candle Allies Garden. Thank you everyone from the Run Candle clan. The receptionist respectfully said, It's an honor to meet you. Please follow me. We'll arrange premium seats. We'll arrive in a flash if you can wait here about 2 hours. Safe travels. Julie softly called, Young Master. Jin turned to look at Julie. Julie said with a slightly anxious and uneasy expression, Actually, as a servant, I'm very worried if Murikin gets exposed or something we couldn't handle it. Jin replied, You're talking about my magic. Of course, no one in Runkendel can do that. Don't worry, I know, so I'll hide it well. Suddenly there was a noise from behind, and the two turned around. Jin seemed to detect something. That emblem, the golden dragon. That's Zipple. A young man with white hair and 2 large guards approached. Jin silently observed, Who is this? He looks familiar. This is Veridin Zipple. She looked at Jin with an unpleasant tone. I feel like I don't want to go to Hewfester today. Didn't expect to see annoying rats here. Julie silently glanced at Jin. Veridin Zipple turned to look at the cat. But your cat is cute. Veridin Zipple cheerfully called, Come here, good kitty. Suddenly the cat got angry and scratched Zipple's hand, making Zipple scream. The soldiers immediately shouted, Young master! Then they cursed the cat, you little pest! Veridin turned to look at the 2 guards. It's fine. It's just an animal, I must have scared it. Drawing swords in front of Runkendels won't help. Veridin Zipple glanced toward where Jin and Julie were sitting. I was just curious and wanted to tease it a bit, but didn't expect no reaction. I guess the youngest son of Runkandel is quite calm. Veridin spoke up. I'm Veridin Zipple. I want to apologize for my rudeness earlier. Jin looked up at Veridin. Veridin Zipple, the genius mage, is the most likely successor of the Zipple clan, a role model for young mages with skills and demeanor. I once thought he far surpassed me in magical prowess well. That was before. Didn't expect to meet him at the same age. This feels quite amusing. Jin turned to gently stroke the cat. I also wondered what kind of person you are. Good to know you're not entirely an idiot. Veridin said, Oh, how do you evaluate that? Jin said, Even if you were joking. If those guys drew swords, you'd experience wandering Hewfester without guards. Oh, and you might lose a few fingers. Veridin Zipple laughed loudly. Even your jokes are violent. Jin replied with a dark face. You think I'm joking? Veridin Zipple seemed a bit scared looking at Jin now. All right, let me give you some advice. If you meet another Zipple or a similar situation, don't make hasty decisions to cut off their fingers. Otherwise, it'll be painful for both clans. Jin replied, That's a funny joke, Veridin Zipple. My father Keliark Runkendel and your father Siren Zipple, do you think they'd intervene in kids' fights? Veridin Zipple heard and hesitated a bit. Veridin burst out laughing. You're right. They'd probably just compensate with gold or something. I learned something from you. I'll repay this debt later when I can. Jin coldly replied, Don't leave it for later, pay now. Veridin Zipple seemed a bit awkward. Oh, of course, what do you need? Jin replied. I'd be grateful if you could stay quiet until the teleport gate activates and not disturb my rest. Veridin Zipple was surprised and pondered uneasily. Jin Runcandle, this guy might become stronger in a few years. If not for his clan, I'd ask to be friends. Zipple kept watching Jin to the point the guard had to remind softly, Young master, image. Veridin Zipple suddenly thought and his eyes lit up. Wait, if he's from Runkendel, there's a chance he'll become my eternal enemy. I'm awesome. The guard sighed and said, Young master, please. Jin saw Veridin's current state and thought, what a hassle. His finger might have become serious, and he still acts like that the Zipple clan has issues. They're all crazy. The announcement broadcast, Thank you for your patience. The teleport gate will temporarily open. Passengers may experience headaches or dizziness as side effects, so please. Veridin Zipple suddenly slammed the table and shouted, Jin Runkendel, nice to meet you, see you next time. Jin coldly replied, I'm fine, let's not meet again.